Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. Almost made it to the end of another work week, getting into the weekend here. And in a manner of speaking, it's the final footballless weekend that we're going to have. In a manner of speaking, anyway, because obviously some people wouldn't really count the preseason, but we are less than a week away from some kind of organized, televised football action. So we're right on the cusp here. Training camp day 3 starts in like less than half an hour. So we'll probably get some interesting information later today because it is an open camp session. So I do believe it's going to be streamed and there are going to be reporters there. There are going to be people in attendance. So we're probably going to learn some good stuff here. But this video, I want to talk about the Uchenna Nwosu contract details, which came out earlier today. So training camp stuff's going to come later. Hopefully Witherspoon's out there. Hopefully we start to see a little bit more from guys like Ken Walker, who I don't believe's done really much of anything yet. Hopefully we start to see things ramp up a little bit. We continue to see encouraging signs. But that's for later. This video, mainly I want to cover the Uchenna Nwosu extension because Over the Cap now has it, and it's an interesting extension. So let's take a look here. 2023, which is the current upcoming season, the cap number is 10.1 million. So that's a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. What we're basically looking at here is a savings of 3 million, a little less than 3 million actually. So that's still enough to take care of our needs, especially because of the Quandre Diggs restructuring. No problem. Probably enough to bring in a Shelby Harris type guy as well. Probably enough to spend a few $1,000,000 on another defensive lineman if we choose to do so. But 10.1 million is the cap number for Nwosu in 2023. Now, the rest of this contract is actually kind of interesting. The way in which this contract is structured is, it's not unheard of, but it's a little atypical because next year is actually significantly less. That's right. 2024, next season, Nwosu's cap hit goes down to 8.15, call it, 8.14. So it goes down by almost $2 million. Usually you don't see that. Usually contracts stagger. They start at one level, they go up a notch, up a notch, up a notch. This one is starting at 10.1 and going down to 8.1. And that's kind of interesting. Obviously, that's probably done to offset the Geno Smith contract going up significantly next year. You've got the Metcalf contract going up, so they want to offset it somewhere, but you usually don't see things like this. So this means that Nwosu next year is going to be pretty radically underpaid, even if he doesn't have a dominant season, for whatever that's worth. That's good news, I suppose. It's going to help offset some of the increased costs that we have. Like Quandre Diggs is another good example, by the way, because we restructured him. Next year, it's hard to move off of him, and he's going to cost more money. So this helps offset that. So pretty good deal there. 2025 is the big year for this contract. And it's also the first year we could conceivably get out from under it. Cap hit is 21.5 million. Now, 21.5 million sounds like a lot of money, but honestly, it probably really won't be by the time we get there. He's going to be 29 in 2025. That is right around the typical peak for a player, I think. So it's not like we're going to be paying him a ton of money for his twilight years. No, this is still going to be a year where you can reasonably expect him to be a really good football player. So 21.5 million. By the time we get to that point, that's probably not even going to be a big chunk of the cap. OTC projects it's going to be about 7.6%. It may end up being even less than that. It is the first year where you could release him to save money, but you are looking at a dead cap hit of about 13 million to release him. You save 8.5. If you do it post June 1st, the dead money hit goes down by half, but you're obviously pushing some of that into 2026. And either way, as long as Nwosu plays well the next 2 years, I don't think that's a very realistic option. By the time you get to 2025, a quality edge rusher who is versatile, good against the pass and the run, is easily going to be worth 21.5 million. Again, We are probably a week or two away from Bosa being 30 million a year, meaning the big years of his extension are probably going to be around 40 million. Like maybe even more. I don't know. The Niners have shown an ability, a willingness to backload their contracts heavily. It could be 44 million, 45 million. So 2025, $21.5 million against the cap. And then 2026 is when things get a little more interesting in terms of what could potentially happen with this contract. The cap hit goes down again. So this contract is structured very uniquely. It goes down from 2023 to 2024, and then it goes down again from 2025 to 2026. So 2026, Nwosu's only going to be 30 years old, 16 million against the cap. OTC projects that's going to be about 5%. Like that's honestly pretty fair. That's pretty reasonable. That might still be fine. Now, by this point, the dead money, if you release him, would be $9.5 million savings. So that's also a very realistic possibility. Teams take cap hits, dead cap hits like $6.5 million all the time. But yeah, it's a very interesting deal, the way in which it is structured, and nothing terribly unexpected here in terms of the actual overall impact. It is kind of weird that the deal starts at 10, goes to 8, jumps to 21 and a half, and then goes down to 16. But it all adds up to where we expected it to be. I believe that there are escalators on the final year of this deal, where if he gets to a certain milestone, I don't know what the milestone is, they haven't said yet, in 2025, he can get an additional, I think it's 6 million in 2026. So we'll have to see about that, but basically he's got incentives. So that's part of the reason why this cap number is lower than the cap number in 2025. Like if he hits his escalators in 2025, then the 2026 number will be higher. But for right now, we don't have to worry about that. That's years away. So we'll see how he performs. We'll see if he manages to earn those incentives. So that's the Nwosu extension. Looks pretty good. Unless there was some plan, and I don't believe that there is, to trade for like a Chris Jones, this has done enough for the Seahawks to be able to pick up a guy like a Shelby Harris or a Matt Ioannidis or an Akeem Hicks. So that's really all we needed. So later, probably this week, I'm going to do a video where I dive into the exact cap space the Seahawks have in terms of like the meaningful numbers, which is including practice squad, including the money we need to roll over, including the bonus money we're going to have to pay out to guys we cut. So I want to talk more about the actual meaningful number, not the imaginary number that doesn't necessarily mean anything on its own that a lot of these sites are reporting. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's your Nwosu extension. A couple things from training camp yesterday I want to talk about just briefly here. I made a video last night that was going to go up today, but a significant chunk of the video was talking about Witherspoon not signing his contract yet, and then this morning Witherspoon signed. So I decided to just delete the video and to go over what I was going to talk about. The most interesting thing from training camp yesterday that I want to cover here, Oluwatimi got all the first team center reps. Evan Brown had them on day one. So it seems like we have a real center competition right now, and Oluwatimi's being given a real chance to win the starting job, which, hey, great news, right? That's awesome news. I don't think anybody can hate on that. And Oluwatimi's got a chance. He's got a real chance to maybe do this. I have him as an underdog. I do. I have him as an underdog for winning the job. Evan Brown's a veteran. He's been good at the center position in the past. But Oluwatimi was a 4-year college starter, Virginia and Michigan. I think he started like 50 games in college. So this is not an experience issue for him, really. It's an experience issue with this team. But this is not an Anthony Bradford situation. Anthony Bradford played, I think, like 17 starts in college. So Oluwatimi's got a shot here, and we're giving him a shot, which is great news. And the only other thing that I think is highlight worthy from yesterday's training camp is the JSN show continues to roll on. I'm not going to show the video on this video, but you've already seen it by now, almost certainly. JSN had a left-handed, one-handed touchdown grab on Thursday. 35-yarder, just an over-the-middle play in double coverage. Mike Jackson had good coverage, and JSN gets open by a sliver, pulls it down. The JSN show continues to just pick up steam here, man. And going back to the draft, the moment we drafted him, like not everybody loved the pick. I'm not saying that. Seahawks fans were pretty polarized on the JSN subject. Um, People across the world of football were falling all over themselves talking about how much they love JSN, how much they thought he was a perfect fit for this team. And ever since then, JSN has met or exceeded everything you put in front of him, from OTAs to rookie minicamp to working with guys like Geno and Metcalf and Lockett outside of the VMAC, like on their own time, to now getting these rave reviews from training camp. Like, the JSN hype machine is building up some serious steam. And like I've said before, I don't like to highlight one or two plays from training camp and say this is going to be indicative of what's going to happen in 2023 or, well, any season. But JSN has consistently been a guy that is getting called out positively after pretty much everything that happens this offseason from the moment he got drafted. So JSN right now, he is probably the star of the show overall in the offseason. And we are getting to the point now where the hype is going to be so big. If he doesn't have a 1,000-yard season this year, it's going to be a disappointment. So, yeah, JSN's killing it, and it looks like we got a really good one. So I just wanted to go ahead and shout that out because it's getting to the point now where this stuff is meaningful. All right, probably another video later today. We'll see what happens in training camp, but that's your update. Nwosu, training camp stuff. See you guys later. Go Hawks.